Okay, so we've reached exercise 11.4, where we dress up our website and complete our final project. I'm going to be reading the directions. There's not that many, although there's a lot of text here. This is just a file that will be loading in just a second or two. And then we'll apply some of the changes that we make on the first page to the other two. I'm going to open up a new tab and open up my GitHub page. I'm already logged in to my IMED1416 class. My username is IMED1416. So I know that if I click on the repository name, I'll see my files. I'll click on Arbor since that is the project we're working on. And since I'm already here, I'm going to highlight the name of my repository and my directory, Arbor. I'll right click, well actually no, because that'll take me to the directory. I'll click on the Arbor page and then do that. I will select the name of my repository, the directory, and the file name, arbor.html. Right click and go to that page. If you type your username.github.io/arbor/arbor.html, you should also get there. If you just go to your web page, you should already have a link at the bottom that'll take you directly to this page. I just want to have this open to see and monitor the page as we make the changes. I'll go back to the original file and click on the pencil icon to edit, and let's start with the directions. Well, first of all, we have to download a couple of files, and let's do that now. We have arbor.jpg, which is a picture of the cafe, and then arborlogo.jpg. This is going to go at the top of the page. I'll right-click on the first one, tell it to save the link as. I'm working in a Chromebook environment, so I see my Google Drive. I have my drive, and inside my drive I already have a folder called IMED1416 where I have saved some other files. And this one's called arbor.jpg. I'll save it. It shows me a preview of what it looks like. I'll right click on arborlogo.jpg, do the same thing, save link as, and it's already in that folder. So make sure that you are in your IMED folder or wherever it is that you're going to be downloading. If you're not on a Chromebook, if you're in a Windows machine, save it to a directory you can find really quick. I would recommend your desktop. Same thing with a Macintosh. And I'll click on save. So I've downloaded two files. The directions tell us to navigate to the page, which I've already done. We open up a new tag and logged into the GitHub account and signed in. And it says open the folder called Arbor and verify you have 3 HTML files. I know that I do. Although I'm already editing, I can always go back to the Arbor directory and verify that indeed I have 3 files. We're going to, since we've already downloaded the images, we can click the Upload Files tab, and then we will upload these 2 files just to get them out of the way. I'll click on Add File and Upload Files. I will click on Choose Your Files. Once again, if you're in a Windows machine, wherever it is that you save them, make sure you navigate there. Hopefully your desktop or your Downloads folder. Same thing with a Macintosh. I'm going to click on Arbor logo since it's the first one there and click open. I will choose your files again and click on the second one, arbor.jpg, open. I'll slide down a little bit. I see that I have arbor.logo.jpg and arbor.jpg, and they're ready to commit. I'll click on commit changes. These are being uploaded and being processed, and that's it. Let's click back on Arbor, and now I have not only the 3 original files, arbor.html, recipe.html, and specials. I have 2 images, one called arbor.jpg and the other one called Arbor logo. Now I'll go back in arbor.html and edit this file, which is what the directions tell us. Open arbor.html and go to edit mode. We're going to copy some code. This right here from bracket to bracket, the link to a CSS file that doesn't exist yet, but we're going to be creating it. So before the end of the head tag, what is the head tag? Well, we've been looking at it in our code all this time. It's on my line 3, head begins, head ends at 5. I'm going to go before the head ends, which is at the very beginning of the line, before the bracket, press enter, go up one line, and I should have copied the line of code I just selected. This one, I'm going to right click and tell it to copy. Go back to my code, and in that space that I just created, I'll press Ctrl V as in Victor to paste. This is linking to a style sheet that's going to be called arbor.css. I say that it's going to be called because we haven't created it yet. Will I get an error if I load this file? Not necessarily. It'll just ignore it. It'll say, okay, I tried to open arbor.css, but there was nothing there. Since I'm already in this editing mode or mood, I'll commit the changes and go back to my Arbor, go to recipe.html just because it's the next one, click on the edit this file button, and do the same thing. Right before the head ends on my line 5 here, I'll press enter, go up one, press Ctrl V as in Victor, and paste that we want to get arbor.css, slide down to the bottom, commit the changes. If you guessed that we're going to do this on the next page, you are correct. I'm going back to Arbor, click on Specials, and edit the file. Same thing right before the head ends. It's on my line 5. I'll press enter, go up one, press Ctrl V as in Victor, and slide down to commit the changes. I think that by now at least the Arbor page might have already loaded the CSS. I'll reload and see what happens. Well, we've had this Arbor JPEG trying to get loaded all this time, but it's finally found it. Does this look good to you? I would say not, because it's not going good. This is stretched. We gave it a size before, but we're going to have to resize it. It's kind of in the middle of everything. The only thing that this can help us with is that if you click on back to the top, you'll see what happens. That's what that link is for. It'll take us back to the top, finding the hashtag top. I'll click on home again just to be ready for the next thing. I'll go back into my repository and my Arbor directory, click on arbor.html, and see what we have to do next. We're going to find the header tag and add an image tag inside the code that links to your new arborlogo.jpg file. So arbor.jpg needs to be put into the header tag. In my Arbor, I will edit this page, find the header tag. Mine is on line 8, and so right here in between the header, I'll press space, or actually enter to get a couple of spaces, so I did it twice. And here we're going to put in an image tag. Open bracket, img for image, tell it that the source is going to be equal to open quote, and we set that this file is called arborlogo.jpg. So arbor logo, no spaces, .jpg, close the quotes actually, and then if the image source is equal to arborlogo.jpg, we can then just close the tag. I'm going to copy this line by selecting the line and right-click copy. I'll slide down, commit these changes. We'll come back to it. And in the Arbor directory, it's gonna be a lot of back and forth because we have to apply the changes that we're making to the main page to the other ones. Ideally, we would have done all of this at the beginning, but then we would not have been able to see the process of making the pages. I'll click on recipe.html, edit this file. I know that we already have a header here, so in between the headers, I'll press enter a couple of times, go up one, press Ctrl V, as in Victor, to paste, slide down, commit the change. So we've done 2 pages that have the image. I'll click on Arbor. Our last one is Specials. Open Specials, click on the Edit, and find the header. I already had a space in there, so I'll press Enter once, press Ctrl V to paste, and commit the changes. I'll click on the Arbor directory, and while that's going on, I'll see if my Arbor page is looking any different. I'll reload, and it's still waiting. And by that I mean it's still waiting for the CSS, but let's see, Specials. Specials is looking okay, but it's still not loaded the, they still have not loaded the image on top. Classic Recipe, my Classic Recipe has loaded the image on top. If I go back home, okay, now it's found that image, and Specials is still waiting. Let me review my code by right-clicking and viewing the page source, and it's still waiting for the header to arrive. That was the last one that I changed, so it's going to probably take the longest. I'll come back and visit it. Hopefully it will load up soon, and hopefully yours are loading up as well. I'll click on arbor.html and review just a little bit there. I'll click on Recipe and review that it's got the logo, Arbor logo, right? And Specials, and my Arbor logo should be loading, it's just not there yet. Okay, let's see what's next. Well, now we're going to deal with this long file here. And like I said, it's long, but it's not something that you have to type. You could if you want for practice. For faster results, right-click on View Raw at the bottom there. Open link in New tab. And all of this code, just click anywhere and press Control-A on your Chromebook, also Control-A on a PC, and Command-A on an Apple. You can right-click and copy. I'll close it. And then we're going to create yet another file. I'm in the Arbor directory. If you're not in the Arbor directory, make sure that that's where you are. Click on Arbor. You'll see all the files that we've created. We're going to add a file and create a new file. This new file will be called arbor.css. Inside of the code here by the number 1, I will press Ctrl V as in Victor, and that'll paste the CS code that I just got. I will then scroll down and tell it to commit this new file. Since my pages are still loading, I'm going to continue with the work. I'll just come back and check on them in a minute or two. It says we're going to open up the arbor.html and view the code. No need to edit. We're going to actually, although right now you're reading this code, this is a little bit confusing. So what we've already done, we've gone back and checked the header and pasted the image. We're going to skip to the next one. You don't have to close the file. You don't have to edit the file since we've just done that. This will not be in the instructions by the time you watch this video. But we have to do this though, because the CSS code is telling us that there's going to be 2 new classes added. One is called left, which will float everything within whatever we apply it to the left. It'll just push it to the left side, and only occupies 70% of the space of the page. And then there's going to be a right class that will just say everything that is not being used in the 70%, that's where you're going to go. So it's going to use the 30% on the right side. And if that sounds a little confusing, that's okay. We did not necessarily cover this in depth, but just know that this will work when we're done. Then let's do this. We're going to, since we've already done all that, with the headers, let's go back to Arbor. And Arbor, oh, I clicked on the image, sorry about that. I need arbor.html. Okay, that was freaky, wasn't it? And edit this. It's already loading my Arbor logo. We said though that we want some things to be on the left and others on the right. Let's find what needs to be on the left. Recipe and specials. Okay, so we're going to find the section tag and we're going to add this .left class. So I'm already editing the file. Here's my section. Mine is on line 19 at the very end of the word section. So in between the letter N and the tag, I'm going to press a space and tell it that the class is equal to open quotes left close quotes. I'll scroll down and we're going to find the aside. And I can't read it off right here, but yes, there it is. The right class will be in the aside tag. The aside tag, it's toward the end where we have, remember, the image. Aside is on my line 32. I'll click on the E of us right next to aside and tell it that this class is equal to quote right close quote. Okay, I'll scroll down and there's another instruction that is on my line 16. It'll be a different line by the time you see it. And since I keep on talking about changes that will happen in the future, let me scroll to the future and see the page, or rather the instructions that you're going to be seeing. So those directions that I told you about are gone. We did add the left class to the section tag. We did add the aside a right class, and we're going to copy this code, which is a break. BR style is equal to clear both. Select all that, right click and copy, and then take it back to the file you're editing currently. And the directions say before the last line of the main text. So our main ends right here. It ends on my line 37. So I'll press space just before that and then press Control V as in Victor to paste. And now I have a clear right after the main. I'll commit the changes. And all these little changes that we just made, need to make them on the other pages as well. So I'll go back to my Arbor directory, click on Recipe, and edit the file. And I know that we made a change on section. Right after the N, we said that the class is equal to left. We scroll down to the aside, which is on my line 46, and right after the E in aside, we said that the class is equal to right inside of quotes. And then scroll down, and at the just before the end of the main, which is on my line 51, I press enter, and since I still have the text that I copied, I'll just press Control V and paste, commit the changes, go back to the Arbor directory, click on Specials, edit the file, scroll down to the section, and I don't know why this message won't go away. Go away. Okay, maybe that's better. And after section, we want to do the class to be left. So class equals quote left quote. And then our aside. So a little bit further down because there's lots of text here. And my aside is right here on my line 80. So aside class is equal to right. Inside of quotes for right. Also, right before the main ends, I will Control V and paste clear both. So we have applied those changes to all the pages. Unless I made a mistake, they should be looking okay soon enough. I'll open up a new tab and go to my page. username.github.io, click on Arbor Cafe, and it's beginning to look a lot like what I need. So I have my logo on top. I have this image on the right side, which looks pretty bad, but we're going to fix it. That's hopefully the last thing we fix. Click on Specials, and I'm getting the page. It tells me that Arbor Cafe will be loading soon enough, but it's probably still thinking about it. Classic recipe of the month here is this. So I will be concerned about the specials and why I can't see Arbor Cafe. So for that, I'll go to my specials, and yes, my Arbor Cafe is not loading. Right click and view the page source. Okay, and my original code said cafe.jpg, and we uploaded a file called Arbor. I'll go back into specials and scroll down, edit the page, and the file that was uploaded was not cafe, it was actually Arbor. So I need to change my image source. It's in my line 81 and call it arbor.jpg. I'll scroll down. If you already had arbor.jpg, great. If you had cafe, make sure that you're loading Arbor. Commit the changes, and let's see what we can do next. I'll go back to my page and click on Home. The one thing that we said is, well, this Arbor Cafe image is great, but it's too big. It's because it's way out here. We told it originally that I think we wanted it as 500 pixels across, and I can check that by clicking on my Arbor HTML page inside of the Arbor directory and edit this, and I'll scroll down, and right here my Arbor Cafe, arbor.jpg, it says that it needs to have a height of 600 pixels and width of 500 pixels. So with the space that we have, we need a lot less. This should be a square also, so there should be the same number for both of these. I will then double click the 600, and I did some measurements, and 225 pixels would be the optimal one. And then this other 500 for the width should be 225. While I'm here, and since I'm going to make these changes, I'm gonna just select everything on image and right click and copy, slide down, commit the changes. I'll click on the Arbor directory. I will click on recipe.html, edit this file, slide down, look for the Arbor Cafe image, and highlight that and replace the whole thing by pressing Ctrl V as in Victor. Now I have 225 and 225. I will commit the changes. Go back to the Arbor directory, and then Specials is the last one. I'll click on Edit, find the Arbor Cafe. It's right here. I'll double click it, and since I'm pasting everything, I'll just press Ctrl V and commit the changes. I don't know how long it's going to take to load, but let's try it. I reload, and now I have a better looking page. And are those the end of the directions? I do believe that is pretty much it. Ensure that all your images in your site are linked and visible. That means that you can see the Arbor Cafe logo on top, and you can see the Arbor image on the right side, and everything else should be done. If you want to make an additional change, you don't have to make this. Actually, you can make 2 additional changes. That's up to you. If you have the Arbor Cafe logo, the way that it looks now, it's fine, it's great. If you remember the assignment where you had to create an image like this, you can make your own Arbor Cafe logo and load it up. You would have to call it arborlogo.jpg and then re-upload it onto the website to see what it looks like. The other thing is that at the bottom we have everything sort of centered, and this it's not quite even. This is a small text and then the rest shouldn't really be like that. It should be to the left. But I'll leave this up to you. If you want to do this, this is what you do. Let's start with Arbor, arbor.html. And we're going to scroll down to edit. I'll scroll down to the bottom, and then, like I said, right, this white rock, etc. This is the address. It should not be. It should be the only thing that's centered in smaller text. Everything else should be its own thing. So let me see what I can do. I can find, first of all, where the address ends, and it's right after the telephone number, that 224-4245. I don't know whose number that is, but I'll press enter here, and just to give me the space, since the footer begins on line 39, it's going to go all the way to line 49. So with this footer ending, I'm going to cut it, Control X, and then put it in the space that I just created by Control V. Also, I'm going to change the date to the current date, which is December 7th. Is the day when this is going to be dropped. And then commit the changes. I'll expect this to work okay in this page, and you can also go into recipe and at least change the date, but you can make the changes that I just made. That is, you want your footer to actually be after the telephone number. Press enter, Control X for the footer, and then paste Control V. I'll change the date to December 7th. Scroll down, commit the changes. Arbor directory, and change the specials. Click on this, and toward the end, we're editing. We're going to change the footer ending. Select that, Control X to cut. After the telephone number, press enter, Control V as in Victor to paste. And I'll say November 30 should actually be December 7th. And commit the changes. I'll go back to Arbor Cafe and reload. And by now, these things have already been changed. I have my address in the middle, but back to the top, etc. What the correct date is elsewhere. If I click back to the top, it makes a little bit more sense. I can click to go back to my site, click on Arbor Cafe, see what the specials look like. This is still loading, but okay, there it is. I will go back to Classic Recipe of the Month. This is still loading. I'll reload, and there it is. I see though that I did not copy and paste the clear on these pages. You can still do that. Actually, you should do that, so I'll do it just because we're wrapping up. I'll click on arbor.html, which has all the right code. What I'm talking about is that there is this one line that says BR style clear both that I should have done on all the pages, but I probably did not. I'll copy this just before the main. I thought I did that. If I did, then it's a different error. But recipe.html, edit this, scroll down, and I do have it, so it just hasn't loaded yet. I hope that they will load, and I hope that they're loading for you. I will check just in case the last page, which is specials. And I see that the clear for both is there, so it's just waiting to load. And even if that's not the case, at this stage we have enough already done that we can claim victory on this page because it's a readable page. It has our recipe. It does have our address down here. We still have the images, and we have navigation that takes us back and forth within the line. This could be a little bit better, but I'm not going to stress out about it. Make sure that you go to your in the original site. This right here, username.github.io, right click and copy. In the assignment, dress up Arbor Cafe, click on it, and scroll toward the bottom, write submission, and here Control V as in Victor to paste your website. This is what you're submitting to your instructor. This is what's going to be graded. This video was half an hour long, sorry about that. And thanks very much. This was an interesting class to put together, and we are done now with Web 1. Congratulations.